They need me, they need you, they need us. They need more support for independent artists, people who still grind the hardest. A hip-hop army, take it back to where it started.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the S.H.I.E.L.D. Showcase. All right, so this is probably our 6th or 7th episode. And it's been decided that I'm going to tell a little bit about myself, and some people have asked some questions that I'm going to answer. So people get a better idea of who I am and who they're dealing with and what S.H.I.E.L.D. is all about, I guess. So we're going to get this and deal with this. And in the next week or so, we've got some pretty exciting interviews coming up with some lady MCs, a lady DJ from Africa, Manny DeBrat, she's rapping out of LA, and Lozen, a female MC that I've been known for several years well, she's from Montreal or the Quebec area, but she resides in Whistler, BC, and she's been out there for probably, I think, 15 years now, but we'll deal with that when I interview her. So this episode is about yours truly, me. So as much as I wasn't looking forward to doing this, because this has really nothing to do with me, S.H.I.E.L.D. is not about me. S.H.I.E.L.D. is about all the other independent artists, rappers, and creators that are trying to get seen and known out here. So, but anyways, so let's get to these questions so we can knock them out, and I can get on to the next project. All right, so the first question is, when did you start writing and reciting? Well, I started writing and reciting, I guess, well, I wrote poetry, like, not on a regular basis, not like I had a poetry book or anything like that, but I found poetry easy. I came to it rather simply. And when I went away to college, I got a chance to play football in Chicago, at a small school north of Chicago, Lake Forest College, just a very small Division III school. But I got to play, I got to start, and met a lot of pretty cool individuals there. And Lamont Loving, Yellow Boy is what he went by. Yellow Boy from the south side of Chicago. So shout out Yellow Boy, Lamont. He's down in Florida now. I hope you're getting better, buddy. Unfortunately, he ended up with some kind of vocal box cancer, and he had to get his vocal removed, which is unfortunate because he was a great MC, back in the 90s when we got together. So when did I start writing and reciting? It was 1992 and 93 when I went away to college. I met Lamont, and we played football together. And one day he was writing in class. We were, I believe it was a sociology class of some sort. Doesn't really matter. Might have been economics. I didn't pay much attention. I was good in school throughout high school, a really good student. But when I went away to college, I went from a small town in Windsor, Ontario, out to Chicago. So it was a small community, Lake Forest, near Lake Bluff and what have you, out there north of Chicago, the North Shore. So met Lamont. He was writing some lyrics, and he had this DAS effect style, this DAS effects, diggity, diggity, diggity. That wasn't me. I was more slow and what have you. But we ended up writing a couple songs together, or verses, and then tying them together. We wrote a song called Mr. Devil. We never got a chance to record it, but we got a chance to perform at different college parties, like the senior party in 1992, another one in 93, some house parties and what have you. So that was my first introduction to writing and reciting. It was in Chicago. And then I brought that back to Windsor with me in 93. And started rapping with a dude named Jermaine. We became the CIA, or the Creative Influence Alliance, and we did a couple talent shows and what have you. So ran into shady promoters at an early stage. We got invited to be in a talent show of some sort, and the winner would take home a prize and what have you. We got up there and we performed, and I believe we got a really good response from the crowd. And come the end of it, found out we weren't even on the ballot. So win, lose, draw, it didn't really matter. It gave me an opportunity to perform. And I knew what I loved. So from there on, I found any open mic I could. So that's basically the gist of when I started. So yeah, on to the next question. Who were your early influences? Well, I've said it a lot of times in a couple interviews previously that when I heard Rakim Microphone Fiend, that was it. Like the words that he put together, it was just the way his rhyme styles and everything. It was different than anything I'd heard before. It was different than Rapper's Delight and Roxanne Shante and MC Shan and all these different things that were out at the time. It was different. And I didn't know words could be put together like that and just like, whoa, like that rewind that, make sure he said what I thought he said. So Rakim was what made me actually start paying attention to hip hop as opposed to just listening to it. So that was late grade school, going into high school. And then in high school, it was all about KRS-One, X-Clan, Paris, Public Enemy, anything that had to do with political rap or conscious rap or enlightenment, education, things like that. Like I sought that out. Like that's what I wanted to hear. It wasn't about the party. Matter of fact, when I came back from college, I remember flew back, landed in Metro Airport, Detroit, came across the border. We're downtown and somebody was driving by and all I heard out the window was, whoop, there it is. And my first thought was, hip hop's gone. Like, what the hell was that? So, of course, the song was entertaining and what have you. But that was my first thought when I heard that song because all I cared about was political rap, and conscious rap or in things that inspired and made you feel like you could do something or achieve something or accomplish something. Now, I was listening to NWA as well, and I had listened to a lot of different, gangster rap. It started coming on the scene in the 90s, and I listened to it. I tried to not necessarily emulate it as an MC, but it was a part of life, right? You listen to NWA, when we played football after a game, after a victory, you know what I mean? I don't care if it was Dope Man or if Ice-T, man, I was talking with Case about this the other day, the Power album. You couldn't take that away from me. That was in my cassette player. Yes, I said cassette player back when we had our Sony Walkmans and what have you. So those were my early influences. Anything really political rap and conscious rap. Not so much the party rap, although I did, and I enjoyed listening to quite a bit of it. So, all right, next, where did the Smooth stage name come from? Well, I guess that should have been the second question, or maybe the first question. But Smooth, that came in college. Now, like I mentioned before, Lamont, we started hanging out right away. We met in August because the football team had to show up early before school actually started so we can get our training, 2 days in and what have you. And as the year progressed and we hung out more and more often, he made note of one day. He's like, listen, man, he's like, why are you always leaning up against the wall talking to these ladies all GQ smooth and shit? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not trying to be GQ smooth. I'm just Canadian. I use proper English. So I don't know if that was an insult or not. But the name stuck. The people we hung out with started calling me GQ smooth. And there's nothing GQ about me. If you know me, there's nothing GQ about me. Right? Like, I shaved for this, but that's it. So as the years went on, after college, Smooth became Smooth Daddy. And I love my acronyms. So SMOOTH is actually slightly malicious orator with overwhelming versatility. And so yeah, that's where SMOOTH came from. And it's stuck for the last 30 years. So that's to answer that one. Now, what has been your biggest challenge? Oh, gosh. Biggest challenge. Well, as far as being an MC and things like that, I never set out to be a famous rapper or anything like that. I found a pleasure and joy in writing, reciting, recording, being in the studio, listening to people produce beats. You know, matter of fact, when Jermaine and I were rapping together, his sister, she had connections in Toronto at the Sky Dome. And so she got us into Dome Studios, which is a high quality, like Phil Collins was recording there and things like that. Like, this is not somebody's basement. This was not somebody's basement. You know, you go in there and there's a cafeteria, lounge, and, you know, the walls. All right, they press a button and the walls would turn. So they had better acoustics depending on whether they had live instruments or people recording voices and what have you. Now, this is back in the day. They used reel to reel, but, you know, ADAT and what have you. It wasn't all this digital, well, ADAT, but it wasn't computers, so to speak. Obviously, where it's only like 95 or 96, somewhere around there. But again, I never set out to be a famous rapper or anything like that. I just loved the whole thing about performing. I think the biggest challenge is also one of the reasons that I started S.H.I.E.L.D. Being an amateur rapper, MC, performer, and whatnot, I think some of the biggest challenges I had was figuring out how to get people to hear my music. Now, again, this is in the 90s, and when I was in college, the internet was not the World Wide Web. It was just a means of communicating between professors and students and getting your grades and submitting projects and what have you. Inter-college communication. It wasn't the World Wide Web yet. So the challenge there was how to get people to listen. So when we were recording songs, we, like I said, went to Toronto, recorded a few songs up there. And then it's like, okay, how do you get people to listen? Back then it was Source Magazine, you read unsigned hype in that section. So I figured, oh, there's an address, let me just submit, you know, CD, cassette tape, whatever, you submit it, not knowing that unsolicited material gets thrown in the garbage. And I don't think we were that good. We had talent and we had good timing, and the content wasn't all bad. Like Jermaine's lyrics they could fly today. You know, he was very clever, and I didn't give myself that much credit at the time, but I think I had a better stage presence, voice, and delivery. But that's beside the point. As time went on, it wasn't so easy to keep at it and what have you. But then when I got back into rapping, so I died off from rapping for a while. I got in a relationship, kids were born. Well, I only have one son, but I was in a relationship, and she had children. So the family life took over and I wasn't rapping anymore. I didn't really connect with the people in Windsor yet. I had just come back from Chicago. So the biggest challenge was getting people to listen. And I didn't know how. And then again, after I went to BC, I went out to BC in 2009, did the whole Olympic thing, like worked around the Olympics and met some people out there. Shout out Sean Rose, Lozen, and all the people out there that was all part of the jam nights around the bars out there. Almost every night of the week, I was able to find a bar to go to, and they had jam nights. And most often people have their instruments and playing blues, jazz, and whatever type of music. And one day, this blonde dreadlock dude with this gravelly voice playing blues raised his glass and said, "Shout out, rest in peace, Guru." And I was shocked. Like, I'm up in the mountains in Whistler, BC, and somebody's talking about guru. So I ended up having a drink with him, talking to him, and then, you know, that led to me meeting Lozen, and she's a female MC, and we got together and did a video project, and then I got bit again by the bug. But again, how to get people to listen. And this was 2009, 10, right? The Olympics, 2010, right? So I missed the MySpace generation. So now it was a matter of me trying to figure out how to get people to hear my music online. And, you know, SoundCloud, Reverb Nation, and all those other platforms, you put it on there. But again, how to get people to listen, right? So that's was the biggest challenge, is how to get people to listen. And it's also the impetus as to why I started S.H.I.E.L.D. is because me coming up as an amateur rapper, MC, I didn't have the answers, and I didn't know where to find the answers. So the effort of this online thing is not only to give people the opportunity to perform and get their personalities and their agenda across, so to speak, and their brand, and let people know about them, but it's also to help educate people. If I don't know, and I don't know, I'm not saying I'm a guru of any sort, but if I have an opinion, if I've looked it up, if I've experienced it, if I've failed at it, if I've succeeded at it, if I don't know, I'll figure it out, and I'll share that information with you, because you should be focused on your craft. And yeah, so build your team, surround yourself with good people, and that won't be such a challenge to get your stuff heard, because you can't do it all by yourself. So that's what S.H.I.E.L.D's here for, and that's why you should have a team. All right, so that was one of my biggest challenges, just figuring out how to get people to listen beyond just a local stage. Now, I lived part of my life traveling and doing things that I don't think the statute of limitations is over on yet, but so I'm not gonna get into too much of that. But anytime I went to Jamaica or New Jersey or Vancouver or anything like that, if I had to go stay in a hotel room for a couple nights or what have you, for whatever reason, I'd go find clubs and open mics, and either go listen or participate. And so I can say I performed in New Jersey and Jamaica and out west and in various places, any place that, you know, no shows until later on. And then I started getting booked for shows out west and what have you. So I think I got off a little off topic there, but this is what it's all about, right? Having a one-sided conversation with people that have asked questions there. So now, next question. If you can change anything about hip hop, what would it be? Oh, good Lord. You know what? It's not, okay. It's not that I would change anything about hip hop per se. I would change the commercialization of hip hop. All right. So I don't begrudge anybody for getting their money. All right. If you have a talent and somebody's willing to pay for that, get your money. All right. I'm not telling you not to get your money, but don't sell your soul. Don't sell your identity, your personality. Don't sell your creative anything. Don't sell that to somebody else to tell you what to do with it or how to perform. You know, if there's something I could change about hip hop, it'd be the radio. Like, it's great. I wish I could get my song on the radio. I want my song on the radio. Who doesn't want their song on the radio? I want to turn on the car, get in the car, turn on the radio and hear my song playing. Really? Who doesn't want that? All right. But what does it take to get there? All right. A lot of effort and dedication and whatnot. And I'm not going to suggest people sold their soul to the devil per se. But I think a lot of people have gone into contract signings and not knowing what they're signing. And then they end up losing their ness. You know what I mean? If you've seen the movie, what was that? Me, you, and Dupree, in that, your ness. All right, that thing that makes you who you are. All right, you can't let anybody take that away from you for any amount of money. And if you're worth that to a company, if you're worth that to record label or something like that, then you should be worth 10 times that to yourself. All right. Build your team. Start with people that support you and are willing to do it for free or for on the cheap. All right. And get that support system around you and keep at it, because you can't let the radio dictate what you should be saying. All right. You hear a lot of stories about rappers saying, well, I want to do this, but the fans want to hear that. Well, who told you that? Something that really irks me, it straight pisses me off is, and I talked about this in last week's interview with Case Closed, is that when people say hip hop's dead or there's no good hip hop to be found, and then the response is, well, there's good hip hop out there, but you got to find it. You got to search for it. Well, that's bullshit. You shouldn't have to find it. You shouldn't have to search for it. All right. One of my little guilty pleasures is I listen to country music from time to time. It was kind of forced on me because working up in Northern Ontario, or pretty much anywhere in Canada, you're not going to find a lot of hip hop unless you're near the major cities like Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver to a certain degree. Windsor, we're blessed because we're right across the river from Detroit, so we're more Americanized than most Canadian cities. Matter of fact, I don't think Windsor's really viewed as part of Canada by most of Canada because we are so influenced by the States. I think in Windsor, we speak bilingual. We speak in Fahrenheit and Celsius. We speak in imperial and metric and what have you. What would I change about hip hop? The commercialization of hip hop. I think that you shouldn't have to search for good hip hop. You don't have to search for good country music. You turn on the radio, there's good country music. They're not talking a bunch of bullshit. And that's all it is. That's whatever. I don't even want to call what they put on the radio hip hop. It's a version of it. They're doing the things that hip hop does. You know what I mean? But what they're talking about, what they're saying is complete bullshit. You get the Kendrick Lamars and the J. Cole's and stuff like that, but you should be able to bang, 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 bang. Like in the 90s, I could back and rattle them off and they were on the radio. You know what I mean? You got to hear Public Enemy on the radio. LL never really had much to say, but he was on the radio, and when he did have something to say, it was usually on an album. You'd have to find it on the B-side or something like that. It was such diversity and there were so many options back then. Ice-T got with created Body Count. Now you had rap and rock, and that was another thing, meshing things together that just expanded hip hop and the diversity and the variety that we had to listen to. But nowadays, beyond the auto tunes, like the auto tunes is fine. It'll come and go. Hopefully it goes, but it is what it is. There actually is, I've listened to some, I put them on my playlist. There's some people that use that stuff and they actually have lyrics behind it. So I can't say that it's all bad. Just because I don't always understand it doesn't make it bad. So, but yeah, what would I change? I change the commercialization of hip hop. So, all right. As an MC, what was your most meaningful song? Well, They Need Me. That song, matter of fact, we use it as the theme song to most of the things we post on Instagram and YouTube here. So they need me, they need you, they need us. They need more fans who still give a fuck, an industry that ain't corrupt, and a substitute for radio, because that shit really sucks. All right, they need more support for independent artists, the ones who grind the hardest, in the hip hop army to take it back to where it started. So that's what this is. This is what S.H.I.E.L.D. is. All right. Sick of the radio and the influence that it's had on the youth. Just corrupting people's image of the art form, the culture, and people in general. And I don't care what neighborhood you come from, you know, I don't care if you're Old Dirty Bastard or Eminem. All right. People initially look down. Culture, society initially looks down and what have you until you break through and impress upon them how good you actually are. Like, but that doesn't get pumped. You got to find it. You got to go onto these streaming sites. And even when you get onto the streaming sites, it's the same people. All right. And they have their platforms. And the reason that S.H.I.E.L.D exists is so that the underdog can have a platform, or the person that somebody doesn't know about. Say, put it this way. All right. Let's take football as an example. So you got hundreds of thousands of schools, high schools across North America. Millions of kids play football. All right. Now, on any given team, you have what, 75 kids on a team, and 25 of them start, give or take, positions or going both ways, what have you. Maybe out of my school, 4, okay, Westfall, myself, Shane, Gerald. Yeah, there might have been 4 from my school, 2 from another school down the way, what have you. All right, so now that small number of students mixed with another small number of students, athletes, they go to college. There's tens of thousands of colleges across North America. All right. Out of those, very few get to go on to play professional, but a lot go on to play semi-pro, you know, European, go to Europe to play ball, whether it's basketball or football or something like that, go to a different country to play. And the same as hockey. All right. Not everybody's going to be a pro. So when it comes to rapping and MCing and hip hop, not everybody's going to be a pro. Not everybody's going to get the $1 million distribution deal, and not everybody's going to get signed by Warner and what have you. But that also means not everybody's going to get raped by them either. All right. So now you can do things independently and make your money. It might not be much as quickly, but you'll never owe anybody for your art or for what you create and for what you want to do. You'll never have to really answer to anybody except for the people that are purchasing, you know, your art. You might have to answer to them, you know, if it matters to you. So, but anyways, that's my most meaningful track was They Need Me. And it is why I started S.H.I.E.L.D. Not because they need me, but if you listen to the song, they need me, they need you, they need us, they need all of us. You know, if an artist says, okay, I want to do something, I want to perform these type of songs, but the fans want something different. Like, no, the radio wants something different. The radio wants to push something different. And I've always said this, if you don't pay for the product, you are the product. So that includes the Facebooks and the social medias and things like that. And it definitely includes the radio. All right. So the radio is not the product. They're selling you products, but you're the product. All right. You're the one that keeps tuning in and suggesting to those radio stations that that's what you want to listen to. Now, maybe the younger people actually do. All right. But I think as a fan base, if you want to see something improve or be better, then be the change that you want to see. Stop listening to the radio. You know, go looking for those MCs and rappers and groups and performers that you admire and that you want to support, and share the work. You know, like, people want to share video clips of a monkey passing out while smelling his finger after picking its ass, or a cat playing with a ball of yarn. Sure, it's funny and it's cute, but who gives a fuck, really? Like, share somebody's creativity, share somebody's artwork, encourage somebody, lift them up, give them a hand. You know, when they're trying to express themselves and they're putting their heart on the line. And like, a lot of people will never know what it takes to write a song, record a song, perform a song, release a song, and maybe it's good, maybe it's not good. All right, but support is so powerful. All right, it's so powerful. So if if I accomplish nothing else, I can go to my grave saying that I supported people, and not necessarily financially, because it doesn't take a financial support to encourage somebody or to make them feel good about what they're doing. All right, share somebody's video, share their song, share their contact information. All right, so, but yeah, I get off topic a little bit. So, anyways, what is your favorite song to perform? Well, what was my favorite song to perform? Because I'm not getting on stage anymore. So, my days on stage have passed. As much as I enjoyed it and as much of a rush as I got from being on stage, there are far better and more motivated people than I. So I prefer to support those people and give them opportunities to perform, enhance their careers and skills and abilities and what have you. Like, I do not mind shining light somewhere else. All right. So, but my favorite song to perform was probably the same as the most meaningful one, was They Need Me. Because at least locally, whenever I performed that song, the crowd knew it. And when it came back, you know what I mean? Like, I get to the verse, and when they went with the hook and they sang the hook back to me, like, yeah, that one and Daddy's Home. I never did a video for either one, and part of me really wants to go back and do like videos retroactively, but yeah, that's for another time. But yeah, They Need Me and Daddy's Home, high energy songs, and I really enjoyed performing those. So, what advice would you give? Whoa, all right. What advice would I give myself 10 years ago? Well, seeing that 10 years ago I was 40, so let's go 20 years ago. All right, let's go back to when I first took my first break from rapping. And the advice I would give myself then is never put down the pen. You know what I mean? Yeah, never put down the pen and build a team. All right, so part of my story goes like this. Now, out of high school, went to college, Chicago, met the Yellow Boy, started rapping, came back to Windsor, got with G Main, Creative Influence Alliance, recorded, rapped, Toronto, different things like that. But then it got to a certain point where I didn't take the high road, I'll say that. All right, I chose to hang out with some people that didn't have my best interest at heart. Now, of course, we all think that our friends and our homies and the people we associate with generally have our best interests at heart. And I'm not saying that they didn't have my best interests at heart, but I don't know that they had their own best interests at heart. You know, friends don't put each other in situations that would risk their freedom or their family. And I'm not saying anybody put me in a position that I didn't choose as a man to be in, but I come to realize after a while that that was not where I was supposed to be and not where I should be. Looking across the euchre table on a Wednesday night, Thursday morning, looking at a bunch of dudes, wondering what the fuck was I doing. It definitely wasn't hip hop, right? So I think part of that, hanging out with them, I got distracted. These are the opportunities I had to travel and do things that I probably shouldn't have been doing. But I was blessed, thank God, that I never got incarcerated or put in jail for the things I did. But I can honestly say to my mother that I never hurt anybody, I never stole from anybody, but the government might have frowned upon anything that I might have done. So, but that's a story for another day in the book after I'm dead. If anybody cares about that. But yeah, the advice I would have gave myself back then is never put down the pen. Man up early and realize that nothing comes easy, nothing comes fast. Fast money goes fast, and anything worth having is worth earning. So I spent probably about a good 10 years or more hanging out with people I probably shouldn't have. You know, and I wish them the best. I'm not going to speak any ill about them, but they didn't do anything wrong per se to me. But I come to realize that it wasn't the support system that I needed or wanted or expected. When you have people around you, this is what I said about the last answer there. Support them. All right. Show up at the shows. Don't come up to expecting free tickets and free swag and all these other things. Like, your friends and your team should be the first people to support you. The first people, not the first people to ask for a handout, or the first people to say, okay, well, what can I get out of this? All right. They're the ones that should be handing out flyers and trying to get more people to come to your shows. All right. When I found out that that wasn't what I was surrounded by, I had to take myself away from that, you know? So the advice I would have gave myself 10 years ago was never put down the pen. So now this question, who is currently on your playlist? Well, seeing as I put out a playlist every week, so we're pushing week 5, I believe, right now. All right, so there's new artists I keep looking for. There's some people that keep bringing me back to listen more often than others, and so let's see. Like, oh shoot, sorry. There are more people. There are some people that are listening more often than others, but no, actually, you know what? I got this list here because this is our calendar for the week, or for the month actually, and all the people that we're doing the Tidal on Thursdays. Matter of fact, every Thursday we put 5 artists up there and promote their music and their profiles on Tidal every Thursday and whatnot. So a lot of them end up in my playlist, and so every Saturday we do a Spotify playlist. So there's all kinds of people like Donnie Menace. I started listening to him, and Sketch the Cataclysm, and Orion Sun. Now Orion Sun, she was a pleasant surprise, because I find a lot of times lady rappers, lady MCs, they end up getting, you know, their subject matter sometimes isn't always accepted by the masses, and definitely not accepted by radio, right? So Ciroc, she's somebody else that I love listening to her. And there's so many Lozen. I know Lozen because we did a song together about 10 years ago, but I can't wait to interview her. I have an interview with her next week, so it'll probably air 2 weeks from now. But if Amy Winehouse, rest in peace, if Amy Winehouse was a rapper, Lozen. You know what I mean? Like, she does this, she raps and then she'll sing, and the singing is like the sultry voice that she has, and I can't wait for the interview next week. It's going to be a fantastic one, and she can go. So my playlist is diverse. All right, so I'm listening to something new all the time, and yeah, so for me to pick out, like, I can just, matter of fact, let me do it right now. All right, bang bang, pull up my Spotify real quick. Yeah, nothing on this computer is fast. So, but anyway, some of this might get edited out. I don't know. We'll leave that up to my social media manager. And that's something else. Like I told you about building a team. All right. I think one of the biggest challenges that I've had, not necessarily as an MC, but somebody trying to create the S.H.I.E.L.D organization, is I've been ambitious, and I think I've had great ideas, but just being ambitious and having good ideas doesn't make you good at running a business. Right. So what I've learned to do is hire people that not only are good at what they do, but they want to do what they do. All right. So I hired a financial advisor. So she's taking care of my banking and whatnot, and advising me on spending and what not to spend and how to invest and what have you. I got a social media manager. Now she's become my new boss. So she's kind of like hiring a personal trainer. All right. So you pay them to kick your ass, so to speak, and make you better. And that's pretty much what I hired her to do. Now there's sometimes, yeah, there's sometimes I just don't want to do it because I never wanted to be the face of this, but this is what it's become. So she's all over me with regards to that. A business manager, another woman, and I surrounded myself with professional women because it just, I don't know, they just seem to, well, they appeal to me, but at the same time, I think they make better decisions in that. So I think they think slower, not slower, but they think more in depth with the next step. That's been my experience. So they're not so brash and aggressive when it comes to making decisions. Me, I have a thought and I jump head first, feet first, carriage, then the horse. Like, that's not the way to do things. So I finally built a team around me to help me do what I do, they do what they do, and the organization can grow. All right, so yeah. So I don't know what's going to be left in this here or what's going to be taken out, but that's what I built a team and whatnot. So, and there's other people involved and whatnot to do other things. I got a great support system that helps share some things, and that's all I really want this S.H.I.E.L.D. thing to do. Like, everybody, each one teach one. Well, sharing is caring. All right, so as I started looking for more rappers and MCs to promote and to share with you all, M. Dot was one of them. He's out of Massachusetts. He's a really good rapper. I really enjoyed a lot of things. He was on week one, the week one playlist. Aaron Shakur is another one. He's really good. King Moses, that guy, he's worth listening to. All right, like, no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Who's in my playlist? Looking at it here. Sam Lacho, Moosh and Twist. So, man, Coop and Cotty is another one. So I've been listening to quite a few different artists and whatnot. Nothing commercial, nothing that you heard on the radio. As much as I admire a lot of the guys and what they're doing, a lot of the rappers and what they've done, I'm not listening to what's on the radio. Never, no more. At least not the hip hop garbage that they're pumping, you know, because if I gotta find it, I'm gonna find it. And I'm looking for it on a daily basis. So anyways, why S.H.I.E.L.D. and what is the overall objective? Well, S.H.I.E.L.D, Society for Hip Hop Innovation, Excellence, Leadership, and Development. The overall objective is to shine light on unknown artists, people that aren't household names or in the mainstream. It's time to bring hip hop back to the streets, back to the culture, back to the neighborhood, back to the community, back to when you actually wanted to hear somebody rap. You know, when somebody's an MC and you wanted to hear them rap and they perform for you, right? Not this stuff that's just being pumped into your head and you're being told, this is good, this is what's good, this is what's good. All right, now if you think that's good, who am I to tell you that it's not? That's your opinion. I can't tell you what your opinion is. All right, but having lived 50 years and 40 of it listening to and understanding hip hop and growing with it, I have an opinion on what is good and what is quality and what's just complete bullshit, drivel, and garbage just being pumped into your brain. You know, it's like watching the same commercial over and over and over again. You know, so S.H.I.E.L.D. is the overall objective is to keep promoting underground artists, independent artists, unknown artists, the underdog in that. And the next step in this is an online radio station. So S.H.I.E.L.D. Hip Hop Radio is coming. It is in the works. All right. We're just dealing with getting our playlists all uploaded so that we have weeks of content, not just hours of content. All right. So this is the point where we need you to start sending in your MP3s of your music. It's online, so don't worry about radio quality. Like obviously the quality, all right, but don't worry about the radio edits. All right, there's gonna be online S.H.I.E.L.D. Hip Hop Radio. It's gonna be an app for the Apple phone, the iPhone, and Androids, what have you. So that is the next step in the evolution of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I really hope you guys sign up for that. Get the app on your phone, and instead of like, there's nothing wrong with Spotify. There's nothing wrong with Tidal. They play music, all right, and you can find the people that I'm finding on those streaming sites. But I want to be able to provide you. I'm going to be able to provide you with a means to click a button on your phone and independent music just streams. You don't have to find it anymore. We're gonna bring it right to your door, so to speak. So anyways, those were, I believe, the 10 questions that I signed up to answer. If you have anything else you want to know from me, feel free to ask, and I'll tell you all about myself. But I'd rather tell you about S.H.I.E.L.D. and the people that we're trying to promote. So next week, we're doing an interview with Lozen. Like I said, she's rapping out of BC. Tomorrow, I have an interview with Austin Poe. Now, stumbled onto his music while I was out there looking and started communicating with him. And so we got an interview set up for tomorrow. So that's going to air next Friday. And then Manny DeBrat, she's out of LA. I'm going to interview her on Friday. So we're going to put that down the line a little bit. We got Queen Ice. She's a DJ. She's over there in Africa right now. She's putting together a nightclub. But that's another interview that we've got set up. Girk One, he's out of Windsor area. I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed his music. Started listening to it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to interviewing that guy. ODS Gates. Yeah, sorry about that, buddy. We called you Otis Gates, but the typo couldn't be fixed. But I hope you understand in that we're going to interview you, OTS Gates. So make sure you check him out. And again, all you got to do is go back into our posts and whatnot. We've got all these artists. You know, every Sunday we do a Spotify spotlight. And let's see. Sorry, got my books. So actually, Analyst was just this past Sunday, and I was pleasantly surprised with how many people actually knew him. I shouldn't say actually, like just because I just found him out about him for myself doesn't mean other people haven't known. He's got a lot of followers. So Analyst was our last artist. Aerospace is going to be next Sunday. Mob Royal. Now I've been following Mob Royal for probably as long as I was on Reverb Nation. Now, a while ago, I took everything offline and then just started recently putting things back on, different story for another day. But Mob Royal, started communicating with him, just, you sign up for people's mailing lists, or you follow them in that, and then you find out about the music. So yeah, pleasantly surprised that he's still rapping. Not a surprise, just when I stumbled on his music again, I was very happy. Another one out of Detroit, Tony Millions. He's going to be on this. Matter of fact, he's on the 17th with Girk One. There's not interviews, but they're going to be the title Thursdays and that. So I hope you follow the links that lead to their profiles and whatnot, because I have no intention on disappointing you when it comes to what I've picked out. All right. So, but anyways, that's a little story about me, Dave Jones. This is your Friday S.H.I.E.L.D. showcase interview. That's me. So again, thank you for all the support you've been giving us. Thank you for watching any videos that we put out, liking, sharing any content that we've put on Instagram or YouTube. Please continue to support us. And if you're an MC, a dancer, a rapper, a DJ, and you have anything that you want to share, feel free to send it to us at S.H.I.E.L.D. shield-hiphop@gmail.com. shield-hiphop@gmail.com. All right, so we'll take all your submissions there, your songs, your MP3s, your video clips, and what have you. And with your permission and your blessing, we're going to share that with the world and as many people follow us. And that is growing, but it's growing organically. We're not going to, we get every day somebody's like, oh, you want to grow your fan? You want to grow followers? Rah, 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 rah. No, we don't want a bunch of bots. We want people that we can actually communicate with and have conversations with. All right, so we're growing slowly, and but that's how you want things to do, right? You want to grow solid. All right, so anything that comes fast goes fast. So again, thank you for everything, and continue to follow us. And yeah, that's us. S.H.I.E.L.D, baby, smooth daddy. You know what's up. Yeah. Peace.
They need me, they need you, they need us. Just so there's no mistaking it, separate the real from the fake of it. If you're not sure what to make of it, most rappers are artificial as bacon bits. More dollar bills and skills, and they paying for their billboards. Why they call that keeping it real? Too long up in the cut, just like bacteria. So tired of hearing the twisted perception typecast through fear in ya. Fantasies derived through corporate fabrication, economic classification. So accept your degradation. From the start they play their part to become legendary, like Lincoln, Theodore Monroe, Andrew Perry. Now that's scary. Indoctrinate the young minds to be criminally inclined, and find that being left behind becomes voluntary. The personification of what's gone wrong with the nation. A different world, change the outlook on the future we're facing, with the aim of reducing the verbal pollution. I may not be the answer, but I'm part of the solution. They need me, they need you, they need us. They need more fans who still give a fucking industry that ain't corrupted, a substitute for radio, cause that shit really sucks. They need me, they need you, they need us. They need more support for independent artists, people who still grind the hardest. A hip-hop army, take it back to where it started. I've had my eyes on the game like a bit boss, from crisscross to Rick Ross. I've been pissed off, can't quit or admit loss, no matter what it costs. But it ain't sustainable, completely unattainable, cause Justin and Miley are so trainable and more relatable. Their cosign bovine excrement, a testament to hip-hop decrement. The pursuit of excellence has turned to pestilence. But it is what it is these days, is what they say, but I still can't figure why hip-hop leading brothers still wanna call one another niggas. Self-deprecating caricatures become too familiar. Tell me, why would a butterfly try to live and die as a caterpillar? With each release, fickle fans increase the feast for the belly of the beast. Forefathers failed to police the industry, so the culture got fleeced by commercial radio, stranglehold on the target market. Intercept, decode, then control the urban argot. Now I may not succeed, and I'm out of my league, you see, but each and every mighty tree began with just one seed. Indeed, they need me, they need you, they need us. They need more fans who still give a fucking industry that ain't corrupted, a substitute for radio, cause that shit really sucks. They need me, they need you, they need us. They need more support for independent artists, people who still grind the hardest. A hip-hop army, take it back to where it started. Now at the heart of it should be the art of it. From the very start of it, we all want to be a part of it, but not this top 10 chart type shit. Hip-hop has been forsaken for pop collaborations, compensation for cooperation. Get your track into rotation, then what do you know, bro? It could be your finest hour, just talk about hoes, videos, music, money, and power. How your drug supply is so profuse and busting loose in the sound booth. No matter what you do, don't ever tell them the truth. The hip-hop is our labor's fruit. Hip-hop is sometimes uncouth. Hip-hop is expressive, aggressive, and progressive youth. Hip-hop is transcendent, independent, and political, analytical, multicultural, and sometimes biblical. Hip-hop let them people know about them GMOs, college radios, kicking flows at them live shows. Hip-hop is that plea to legalize weed. I am hip-hop and I'm exactly what they need. They need me, they need you, they need us. They need more fans who still give a fucking industry that ain't corrupted, a substitute for radio, cause that shit really sucks. They need me, they need you, they need us. They need more support for independent artists, people who still grind the hardest. A hip-hop army, take it back to where it started. They need me, they need you, they need us. They need me, they need you, they need us. They need us.